We would get on the Greyhound and we would, show up to whatever city. Let's say we show up to Flagstaff. We would have a general idea of where the venue was and where our motel was, and we would go to the motel and we would check in, and then we would go to the venue and we would do sound check and set up our merch, and then we would go back to the, whatever, Econo Lodge or whatever, and have dinner, and then we would come back to the venue and we would play, and then we'd sell our merch, and then we'd go back to the hotel room and count the money and be like, yay, we can go to the next city, and then we would get on the bus and we would head to the next town. And all of that seemed like we were living our fucking dream. For us, We were just like, holy shit, can you believe how awesome our life is? And people around us were like, this is terrible. Why would you do this? This is so awful. You're so poor and lonely, and your life is disgusting and exhausting. And we just were like, fuck you, this is awesome. Like, we just loved it. Loved it. We'd come home like 30 pounds lighter. We'd be like emaciated. I had like whooping cough and strep throat. I had like an ear infection that lasted like 9 years. But it did not matter. It did not matter. We loved it so much. But then, the only bad part was that how do you explain to the person that you're in a romantic relationship with that you should be able to leave and do all of these things and then come home with no money and sick and gross and broken down and leave them? Like, they're like, why would you want to do this? This is so horrible. Like, life is... So we had a lot of really ups and downs. We had a lot of sad years, a lot of breakups, a lot of bad things. And this next song I wrote in the middle of all of that. I had this feeling that, to everybody else around us, that maybe it seemed like all the good was gone. But I didn't feel like the good was gone at all. I thought we had it. I was sure we had it. I'd pick up Sara at the Greyhound station, and she had her big backpack and her weird giant guitar case, and we had a bag of merch we would share between us. I was like, I'd take one look at her and I'd be like, look at that rock star. Oh shit. We made it. This one's for Sara and I. Where do you go with your broken heart and toe? What do you do when they're left of you? And how do you know when it's time to let go? When it's a good go? When it's a good go? Look me in the eye and show me you'll find me attractive. Look me in the heart and tell me that you'll go. Look me in the eye and promise no love's like I love. Look me in the heart and I'll break broken. But it's a good go. Look me in the eye and tell me you don't find me attractive. Look me in the heart and tell me that you'll go. Look me in the eye and tell me still lost like I know. Look me in the heart and I'm break broke. I don't want happiness. So release your lips to see your loving voice. Think that you would be real happy and healthy. So remember, it's a good go. It's a good go. Do you want to sing this next part, Flagstaff? Okay. But remember, I wrote this about getting whooping cough and diarrhea and having your whole life taken out from under you and a girlfriend changing her phone number while I was on tour. I mean, some really shitty stuff.